Hello, friends. A pleasant day to all of you, and a hearty welcome back to the GRE Verbal Ability session. In the previous sessions, we have learned about the curriculum that are required for verbal ability test in GRE. So, in which we have learned about the grammar, sentence formation, preposition agreement, adjective agreement, subject verb agreement, so on and so forth. And also in the orientation session, if you can recollect, I had given you some important tips and some important instructions that need to be followed and kept in mind while taking up the GRE test. So, today in this session, we will be going through a mock test of few of the sections that are there in the GRE verbal ability test. To start with, today we will be taking up the text completion section, then the sentence equivalence section, and reading comprehension session. In these three sections, I'll be taking you through a couple of questions and I will explain you how to pick the answers and how they are relevant and appropriate answers. So keep in mind that whenever we pick the answers for a particular question, it should not only be relevant, it should also be appropriate in all the respects, especially it should be logically correct. So, in the first section, that is the text completion section, today I'll be taking you through a couple of questions and I'll explain you how to pick the appropriate answers. Right, friends? So, let us get into the mock test in the text completion section. So, in the text completion section, it includes a passage composed of 1 to 5 sentences with 1 or 3 blanks. That means this text passage may contain the sentences from one sentence to max 5 sentences, and the blanks may vary from one blank to max 3 blanks. So for each blank, you will be given a set of choice answers. Sometimes it might be 3, or sometimes it might be 4, sometimes it might be even 5. If it is a single blank, then you'll be having a set of choice questions from which you have to choose the appropriate answer. It may vary from 4 to 5 or even 6 answers. But when it comes to multiple blanks, each blank will have a separate set of choice of answers, saying blank 1, this is the answers, blank 2, these are the answers, blank 3, these are the set of answers. So you will have to pick up the right answers from the respective part of the blank. And also I would like to reiterate here, if you all can recollect that whenever we are getting into this text completion section, the answers that would be given for the fill up the blanks, how you have to go with it. First and foremost thing is that read the instructions carefully, then read the question carefully and understand the question. Understand the question and see or find out what is being asked. Then you can find out what is being asked So, what could be the appropriate answer that will be possible only when you properly understand the sentence, right? And out of the given choices, there can be two answers which can be similar, but not identical. Similar in the sense, you may recollect that in the adjectives, I had taught you about the degrees, right? So the degrees may vary from one right answer to the next right answer. So keeping in mind the degrees of the answers, the word that have been given, we have to choose the appropriate answer. Rest three would be of a contrast type, or rest of the answers would be of contrast type. The glitch here is which one is the answer out of the two correct answers that one has to pick up. So that is where the degrees of adjectives comes into play. When you understand the degrees of adjectives, it will be easy for you to understand the correct meaning of the answer and then choose it. Right, friends? Now, let us start with the question number 1 for test completion practice. The first question is that upon visiting the Middle East in 1850, Gustav Flaubert was so dash belly dancing that he wrote in a letter to his mother that the dances alone made his trip worthwhile. So, my dear friends, try to understand the question and then find out what is being asked. So, how do you understand the question and how do you find out what is being asked? So, now when you read the question here, upon visiting the Middle East in 1850, so a person by name Gustav Flaubert had visited the Middle East and was so dash was so dash belly dancing. So when you check this, what is the word after the blank? That is a noun, belly dancing. Dancing is a infinite verb. So it becomes a grenade. So belly dancing, it is the noun. So what should come before the noun? An adjective, obviously, because adjective describes the noun. So what could be the adjective there? So one part you got, you need to pick an adjective. Now going forward, belly dancing that he wrote means he is writing about the belly dancing, about his feelings, what he felt about the belly dancing in a letter to his mother, that the dancers alone made his trip worthwhile. This is the effect. This is the effect, cause and effect. This sentence, the last part of the sentence, that is, that the dancers alone made his trip worthwhile. This is where the cause and effect you can find. When you see the cause and effect, what is the cause and effect? The cause is the dancers alone, means it is a belly dancing. That means the participants in the dancing event, they alone made his trip worthwhile. That means he enjoyed the trip, and that belly dancing gave Mr. Flaubert the most enjoying part of the trip. So, what could be the right word that we need to choose here. So when we look at the given choice of answers, right? So let us check one by one. One is overwhelmed by, right? Overwhelmed is an adjective. Then enamored by is another adjective. Taken aback, it is an taken aback by, it is a verbal phrase. Besieged by, it is also a verbal phrase. And flustered by, it is also a verbal phrase. Now, you have got two things here. First two are the adjectives, the next three are the verbal phrase. So, what we need to find here, we need to find an adjective for this blank. So, when we need to find an adjective for this blank, what could be the probable answers here? That is the choice A or choice B, because these two are the adjectives, the rest three are the verbal phrase. So now let us find out what is each section or each choice of answer means. So overwhelmed by means it is the highest degree. It is the highest degree. That means it relates to the superlative degree. Overwhelm is a superlative degree in adjective. So we cannot say that he was overwhelmed by the dancers alone. The reason being, there could have been many other things out of which he would have enjoyed. He is not telling here that the dancers alone made him the trip worthwhile. That's it. He is not saying anything that overjoyed or something like that. He is not showing any superlatives here. So, because it is a superlative adjective, it cannot be the right answer. Then, enamored by. Enamored by is the right answer here. Enamored by means he was so excited by, he was so fascinated by the dancing. He was so much fascinated by the belly dancing. He was so much inclined towards the belly dancing because only the dancers made this trip worthwhile. Right? So that is enamored by. Then the third is taken aback by. Taken aback is getting surprised or getting astonished. So you see, when if it is in contrast to the sentence that is being completed. If he is taken aback by, or if he was surprised, or he was astonished looking at the dancers, then he wouldn't have written the last word worthwhile, the trip worthwhile. It is in contrast to the sentence. Besieged by, again, it is also in contradiction to the sentence. Besieged by means deceived by. So, if someone is deceived, then they won't say it is a worthwhile trip. Am I right? Then the flustered by. Flustered by means irritated by. So these three, as it is, there cannot be answers because the first thing is that they are verbal phrases. The second thing is that they are in contradiction to the sentence. Now the choice is between A and B. Because A is a superlative degree, we cannot choose that because he has nowhere mentioned the top level of enjoyment, the utmost enjoyment. He has just mentioned the dancers alone made his trip worthwhile. So the answer is enamored by. The answer is enamored by. Right, my dear friends? Now, let us get into the next question. So here, this is an example for the text completion where a single blank is given. In the next example, we will see how the multiple blanks question would look like. So now here, when we look at this, the question number 2, read and understand it carefully. Increasingly, the boundaries of congressional seats are drawn in order to protect incumbents. As legislators engineer the demographics of each district such that those already in office can coast to the first blank, victory. Coast to victory. Of course, there is always the possibility that the incumbent will face a challenge from within his or her own party. Nevertheless, once the primary is over, the general election is again the second blank. As I had already told you, there will be different set of choice of answers for each blank. You see, you can see here blank 1. These are the set of answers, that is A, C and E. For blank 2, the answers are B, D and F. In the same way, if there are 3 blanks, then there will be blank 3, G, H, I. So like that, you will be getting different set of choice of answers for each blank, so that you will not get confused which answer to be picked for which blank. Okay. Now, let us understand the question and try to fill in the answer for the first blank. Okay. The first line says, till the first blank, if we read the passage, it says, increasingly, the boundaries of congressional seats are drawn in order to protect incumbents. So, here, if you understand, the incumbents means the newcomers to the party. So congressional means it is a political party. Congress. Okay. Congress means it is a party, political party. Okay. Don't take it into Indian or some other thing. Congress as a noun, if you take it, Congress means it is a political party. So the boundaries of congressional seats means where this political parties exist, their boundaries are drawn for each and every political party. So when they have drawn the boundaries, why they have drawn the boundaries? That is the question here. If you understand this, they have drawn the boundaries to protect incumbents. To protect incumbents means to protect the new incoming members. New members, those who have joined the party and are contesting for the election. As legislators engineer the demographics of each district, as legislators engineer the demographics, legislators engineer the demographic. Legislators engineers means who would be the legislators? Those who have already been elected and those who are in the office. They are the legislators. Until and unless one is not elected, he or she cannot become a legislator. So the legislators means those who are already elected and they are in the office. Engineer the demographics of each district such that those already in the office can coast to, right? That means those legislators engineer the demographics, means they put a boundary. They know up to what extent, from which area to which area, I can influence the voters. That is what the engineering. They put a boundary. They have a limited place where they can influence the voters to vote them. Okay. Who will be doing that? Those who are already in the office, means those who are already elected. Those are the legislators. Can coast to, can coast to, can coast to blank victory. Can coast to victory means what? Can influence or can be assured about, can be confident about, can be guaranteed about the victory, because they have drawn a boundary and they know they have the great influence within those boundary of the voters. So that is where they are confident of victory. So what should be the thing here? When we see the choice of answers here, the first choice, that is A, says an inelectable. An electable is the first word. So an electable means, so an electable is an adverb. So an electable means they can be assured of the victory. Inelectable means they cannot be opposed. Without opposition, they can win. Without opposition, without any restrictions. So that is what an electable means. Then an individuals means a single person. So a party cannot be a single person. So it is contradictory to the sentence. It is contradicting with the meaning of the sentence. So that cannot be the answer. Then a plangent. This is also in the contradiction to the sentence. So what would be the right answer? An ineluctable is the right answer here. Now, let us see the next sentence and find out what is the right answer for the second blank. Of course, there is always the possibility that the incumbent will face a challenge from within his or her own party, right? Of course, means this sentence says, of course, the incumbents means the newly inducted members, newly joined members, however, will have some challenge within the own party. Some might not be liking the person individually, but because of the party's spirit, they are forced to like and do the favor to the person. And it can be vice versa. So there are some challenges like that. If that same person were to be an independent or something else, if not in the same party, then they wouldn't have supported him. But now, without wanting to support him also, they have to support him. That's what the challenge that would come in a party. So from within his or her own party. Nevertheless, once the primary is over, nevertheless, once the primary is over, what is primary here? Primary means once the election is over and the person is declared victorious, or once the person wins the election or wins the contest, what is that? Is over. The general election is the general election, that is the election that is going to happen is dash, is a dash. So here, how are you going to find the answer? Because there is a verb here. You can see there is an auxiliary verb, is. So is tells us that there should be a noun following it. So what could be the answer? Let us see with the given choices. Seldom nugatory. Seldom nugatory. Seldom nugatory means it is seldom they can win. Seldom means very rare. 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 1,00,000 or 1 out of 10,000. That is what seldom is. Very rare chances. So it cannot be that, because it is again contradiction to the sentence. Now, remarkably contentious. Remarkably contentious. So remarkably contentious means there can be a fight contest between the candidates. So that is also again in contradictory to the previous sentence, because the sentence says once the primary is over, means now we have to compare these answers with the primary, means the previous sentence with the previous blank. So when we see these two answers, they are in contradiction to the primary. So the right answer should be merely denouement. Merely denouement. Merely denouement means just for the name's sake. The election, conducting of the election, the general election is just for the namesake, because of the influence that the legislators, means the already elected people in the office of the party, they have influenced the voters so much that the new incumbent or the new member will automatically or unanimously be elected. So this is the merely denouement is the right answer. So you see, if you want to understand more about that, here is the cause that are given to understand the right answers. In the same way, even for the second question as well. You see? So, this is what is explained in the entire answer. So, once you understand the question clearly, and once you understand the meaning of the given choice of answers, then it will be quite easy for you to pick the appropriate answer and fill the blank. Right, my dear friends? Now, let us get into the next section, that is the sentence equivalence section. Sorry. As I have already told you, what is that sentence equivalence? So the sentence equivalence can consist of one sentence with 6 answers, out of which you will have to pick a pair of correct answers. You will have to pick a pair of correct answers. Means you have to pick 2 correct answers. Out of the 6 or 8 or how many number of choice of answers are given, you have to pick 2 correct answers. Why you should pick 2 correct answers? Because it is the sentence equivalence. That means when you compare one sentence, and if you want to make an equivalent sentence for the same sentence without affecting the inner meaning of the sentence. So what you are going to do, you are going to change only one word in the sentence. That word that you change makes all the difference to balance the sentence. That means whether you are making the sentence equivalent to the first one. So because of that thing, the sentence equivalence should be practiced. So for that, you will have to choose a pair of right answers. So now, let us see what is the question. Here the question says, the twins' heredity. You see, my dear friends, again, I am telling you, it is not twins, it is twinses. Because twins is plural, and after the S, you can see the apostrophe. So when a noun is in plural ending with the letter S. Again, for possessive denotation, we will not put S again. But if a noun or a word is in plural which is not ending with S, then we put the apostrophe S to make it possessive. So here, because the twins is the plural, twins, it is ending with, twin is singular, twins is plural, it is ending with letter S. If it were to be children, then it could have been children's. If it were to be child, it could have been child's. Because the plural or the singular is not ending with S. So here the twins is heredity and heredity. What is heredity? Heredity is the thing that is the character, behavior, and some genes that are carried from parents to the children. From parents to the children. It can be of either of the two, either of mother or father. Right? That is what is heredity. So, for example, I'm a very short tempered and a very strict and a disciplined person. My child, my daughter, or my son can also develop that habit. He can also become a strict, disciplined person and a short tempered person as well, and getting frustrated for small things also. That is called as the hereditary. If we goes with my genes, in the other way around, if we see, the mother of the child is very sober, polite, and very patience person, then the child has gone with the genes of the mother, then the hereditary here is that child would be very polite, sober, and cool natured person. So that's what the heredity is. The twins' heredity and upbringing. Upbringing means how the parents have brought up the child. The way the parents bringing up the child were identical means they were identical. They have never made any discrimination between the two. Right? Twins means two children. They are not made any discrimination between the two. Heredity is also the same, and upbringing was also same. Identical means same. There is no discrimination in nearly every respect. In almost all the respects, there was no discrimination at all. Yet, that means still one child remained unfailingly sanguine. Unfailingly, one child remained unfailingly sanguine. Sanguine means very polite, very silent, very cool natured. Even in times of stress, even if there is a stress or pressure or a critical situation, one child was never used to lose the temper or never used to get frustrated, never used to get pressurized, used to remain cool and compact. While her sister, while her sister was prone to angry outbursts, while her sister was prone to angry outbursts. That means the other child was of entirely a different or in contradictory to the first child, to her sister. That means she used to get frustrated, she used to lose temper, she used to get angry when there is a stress that indicated an exceptionally choleric. That indicated an exceptionally choleric. Right? Choleric means a totally contradictory. So here when you see sanguine is polite, cool, And a choleric means just contradictory to that. Means getting frustrated, losing temper, getting anger, getting frustrated, getting irritated. That's what the choleric is. So, choleric dash. So, what should be the answer here? So, there are 6 answers, out of which one is actually repeated. Let us forget about that and we will think about the 5 choice of answers that has been given. So, first one says genotype. First one is the genotype. Genotype means which carries the genetics. That is, it is a physical change that can be seen. Then the second one is the environment. Environment, it is nature, means surroundings, how their surroundings are. So it is about the nature. Then third one is physiognomy. Third one is physiognomy. That means again it is a physical change. Physical changes can be there in twins, right? We cannot rule out that. Then the next two says the incarnation. Incarnation is somewhat unacceptable. That means rebirth. Then this is the temperament. Temperament, and again, it is the behavior, it is the character, it is the personality. That means it is the mental status of a person, right? It is the mental status of a person. And the last one says humor. Humor, again, very jolly type, very comedian type, or very joking person. So, again, it is a mental state of the person. So, now looking at this question, what could be the answer? Because they are twins, obviously there can be physical changes. But what is that is being characterized in the sentence? What is that behavioral changes they are explaining here in the sentence? That means it is about the personality of the two children. When it comes to personality, the answers should be one is the temperament. One is the temperament and the other one is humor. That means temperament means their behavior, their personality. There is a change in their personality. Though they are twins, they are carrying the identical heredity and also they have been brought up in an identical manner. Still, their personality, there's a difference in the personality. That means there's a difference in the temperament. Second is humor. Humor because is the right answer because most of the time 99 twins out of 100 twins, if you see 99 twins out of 100 twins will always be identical in all the respects, physical, excepting the physical matters sometimes in the mental status. There in their personality, they will always be same. So that's why, so we says, Arif, if you are twins and both of you are looking different and both of you are acting different, how can this be? So that's how this takes us to, right? So humor. So the right answers are temperament and humor. Now, let us get into the next question. That is in the next section. So in the next section, what is there? That is the next section. As I told you, it is the reading comprehension section. In the reading comprehension section, what is that is going to be there? In the reading comprehension, there will be a passage which may contain a couple of paragraphs or 3 to 4 paragraphs even. Now the question is, you have to read the passage carefully with utmost attention and understand the theme of each paragraph, connect one with another, and understand the debriefing, understand the summary of the entire passage. Right? So once you do this, it will be quite easy for you to answer the questions. So now, in this section, in the reading comprehension section, here in the model question paper or in the mock test, we are given with a couple of paragraphs. That means there are two paragraphs. When you read it carefully and understand it, you'll come to know what should be the answer for the question that is being asked. So only once you understand the entire passage, it will be easy for you to answer. Now, let us see what the passage is. Called by some, the island that time forgot. The island that time forgot. It is a phrase that means island that time forgot. Means an island which even the time has forgotten, which had no effect on that particular island. So, what was that island? That island's name was Madagascar. That island's name was Madagascar. So, called by some the island that time forgot, Madagascar is home to a vast array of unique exotic creatures. That means the Madagascar island was a home for the vast array of unique and exotic creatures. That means vast array means it had housed many unique and exotic creatures. Creatures means animals, people, all these things, all living creatures. So, one such animal is the I. So, I is a creature or is an animal which existed in the woods of Madagascar. First described by Western science in 1782. That means some scientists have described, and I have researched about it, and they have described very long back that it was initially categorized as a member of the order Rodentia. That means once in 1872, when they had researched first on this animal, they had categorized that animal to the species of Rodentia, Rodentian species. Further research, then post that research, whatever the researches that have been made, then those researchers revealed that it was more closely related to the lemur. It was more closely related to the lemur. That means the another species of animals, lemur. So the animal I was closely related to the species of lemur. But a member of the primate order means in that species, it was one of the members of the primate order, means of the higher level. Since the I is so different from its fellow primates, because it was so different, because when you compare it with the species, say for example, we say tiger, cheetah, cat, dog, wolf, all these things, they are of the same species. We can see them of the almost of the same nature. But here, when they are comparing it with the to the lemur or to the Rodentian species, it was something different, right? It was different from its species. However, it was given its own family. However, because it was different from those two, it was given its own family, means it was given its own species, which was named as Debentionidae. Debentionidae. The III has been listed as an endangered species. It has been listed as an endangered species. Endangered species means which was in danger, which could come to an extinct, which may no longer be alive or no longer be found. Was its life was in danger, endangered species, and as a result, because of that, the government of Madagascar has designed an island of the northeastern coast of Madagascar as a protected reserve for IIIs and other wildlife. So, because it was becoming to be an extinct species or its life was in danger, the Madagascar government has reserved a particular area in the northeast coast of Madagascar as the reserved forest, as a protected forest for that particular species and other wildlife. In the next paragraph, long before Western science became enthralled with this noc- sorry, nocturnal denizen of Madagascar's jungles, the III had its own reputation with the local people. That means before the Western people went there and made the researchers, right? Western science means the Western people community going there and doing the research in the fields. Jungles means in the woods of Madagascar. Before they could go, the II animal, it had its own reputation, means it had its own identification or something that were told to it by the people of that particular land. The II, perhaps best known for its large round eyes, it was famous for its huge, large means huge, big, round eyes. It had a round eyes, which no others, because whenever you see all the animals, when you see their eyes are small compared to their size of the body. But this particular species had a huge eyes compared to its body, large round eyes, and long, extremely thin middle finger. Means long, extremely thin means very thin middle finger in its class or in its palm. In its palm or in its class, it had a very thin but very large middle finger. This is the middle finger. In between the index finger and the ring finger, right? That is called as a middle finger. So, which is again a unique thing when we look into other species. These adaptations are quite sensible, allowing the II to see well at night and retrieve grubs which are on one of its primary food sources. That means the huge or the large eyes were helpful for that particular species of animals, even in the dark, to see very clearly. Even in dark, they could see clearly, and retrieve means take out the food. What was their food? The grubs. Grubs means something that is within the inside the branch of a tree, right? So that is called as the grub. So that was their favorite food. From deep within hollow branches, means deep within the hollow branches. However, the II's striking appearance may end up causing extinction, because However, the striking appearance means the unique appearance was making it to become extinct or was taking it towards the extinction. Means that's what is said in the first paragraph. Its life was in danger. Right? The people of Madagascar believe that the oi is a type of spirit animal. It's a type of spirit animal. Means it is a type of ghost type or is of a bad omen. It has some spirit effect in it. And that its appearance is woman of death. That means if it appears in the village or if someone sees the animal, that means it is the woman of death. That means it is a bad omen. That means some death will happen when that animal appears. So, because of this blind belief, people of Madagascar believe. The people of Madagascar believe that the III is a type of spirit. Whenever one is sighted, it is immediately killed because of this blind belief that it is a bad omen. It is a omen of death. That means it brings death, because of which people started killing it. That's why its life was in danger. When combined with the loss of large swaths of jungle habitat, so when combined with the large swaths of the jungle habitats, this practice may result in the loss of a superb example of life's variety. That means when we combine these species with the all other species in the woods of Madagascar or in the forests of Madagascar, if people blind believe that it is a omen of death and killing it, then we are moving towards the extinction of that particular species. That means which can become a no more species living on the earth. But it was a superb species which was there. So this is what the entire passage is. Now, when you get into the question, what is the question that is being asked? Based on the information given in the passage, based on the information means what is there in the passage, the intended audience would most likely be. The intended audience means who would have written this? Who would have explained these two paragraphs? He is the audience. Right? Most likely be what he or she could be is the question. So the visitor to a natural science museum. It can be a visitors to the Natural Science Museum, professors of evolutionary science, a third grade science class, students of comparative religions, and attendees at a world cultural symposium. Now, out of this, you have to pick one category of the audience to which this audience belong to. So now, when you understand the passage, it's a passage that is telling us about a museum, isn't it? Means he is not reading out a passage from a book or something like that. He is writing something about a place where he has visited. So, visitor to a natural science museum is the right answer. Now, I will tell you why others cannot be the right answer. You say professors of evolutionary science. You say if there are to be professors of evolutionary science, there is no evolution mentioned in the entire passage. Hence, it cannot be the evolutionary professors, those who are written this. The next answer is the third grade science class student. Third grade, a third standard student can never write about an article like this. Then students of comparative religions. Even the comparative religions, there is no religion mentioned here. Hence, it cannot be the right answer. And attendees at a World Cultural Symposium. No. There is no mention about the symposium that is being happening. So, hence, when we read and understand that it is said by someone or it is written by someone, whatever he or she would have observed and heard, so hence the answer is it must the audience would be likely a visitor to the Natural Science Museum, right? So this is how you see the answer is A. Why the answer is A? The explanation is given here, right? It says the passage contains a mixture of information about the III, both from a scientific and cultural background. It gives an overview of the animal without giving a lot of detail in any one area. Choice B is incorrect because the passage mentions evolution only briefly at the end. The choice is too narrow. Choice C is incorrect because the style of the passage is too advanced for young students. Choice D is incorrect because the passage mentions religion only as it relates to the fate of the II. Choice E is incorrect because the information given is focuses more on the II itself than on the culture of Madagascar. Right? Now let us get into the next question. Right? So the next question is consider each of the choice separately and select all that apply. So there are choices given. You have to consider all the choices and choose separately that can apply to the passage. What are the lines that can relate to the passage? So those things we have to choose. So which of the following statement can be logically inferred from the passage? Can be logically inferred. Means it should logically fit in to the passage. So now, taxonomic classifications are not always absolute, right? So that is what the taxonomic classifications are not always absolute. So this we can see this taxonomic classification because in the first paragraph there is a taxonomic classification. First they say they belongs to some species, then the other says it belongs to the another species, and finally they categorize it into another species. So that's what it is. It cannot be always absolute. Then the second says that traditional religion of Madagascar involves augury. Then the third one is there are no longer enough resources on the main island to support the II population. So when we understand the passages, we can say that, right? What could be the answer? A and B can be inferred from the passages because A and B, these two can be inferred because it is a traditionally religion of Madagascar involves Sagori, right? Supported by the first paragraph, the classification of the IAI changes, right? Which demonstrates that such classifications are not absolute. Choice B, that's the traditional religion, it is supported by the part of the passage dealing with the future of the IAI species, right? It states that II is seen in an omen of death in the traditional religion of Madagascar, which is Agwari refers to the use of omens. Agwari means omen. But so this statement must be true. Whereas choice C, however, is not supported. Although the passage states that the IAI is in danger, it does not directly discuss whether this is due to limited resources on the main island. Right? It is not completely discussed. So hence choices A and B are inferred in the to the paragraphs. Right? Okay, my dear friends, I hope now you have got a glimpse of the techniques, how to understand the passage, how to understand a text, and choose the appropriate answer. So, going forward in the next session, we will learn more about the writing skills section. We will get into writing skills sections and we will learn more about it. So, for today, focus on this, try to practice more on this, and get used to answering the GRE test papers. Thank you. Thank you so much.